On a cold January night in 2010, something inexplicable happened in North Wales. A brilliant mathematician and code breaker employed by one of the most secretive intelligence agencies in the world was found dead inside his own home under bizarre circumstances. His body lay twisted into an unnatural position, surrounded by cryptic notes and mathematical equations scrawled across the walls. The coroner's report would later reveal ligature marks around his neck, suggesting strangulation. But the real mystery wasn't just how he died. It was who or what was responsible. Was it foul play? Suicide? Or could there be another explanation entirely? Hi everyone. You're listening to Thousand Fragments. The moment no one saw, the memory no one kept. I'm bringing it back. Drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears! And let's begin. Our protagonist lived a life shrouded in secrecy. A highly intelligent individual with an affinity for puzzles and patterns, he worked as a cryptanalyst during the day, deciphering complex codes for his government agency. By night, however, he immersed himself in elaborate experiments, testing theories about human consciousness and alternate dimensions. To those who knew him, he seemed like any other young professional, a quiet man living alone in a modest apartment, keeping to himself but occasionally engaging in polite conversation with neighbors. Little did they know that beneath this calm exterior lay a mind consumed by curiosity and obsession. The year was 2010, and the town where he resided was typical of rural Britain: rolling hills, quaint cottages, and a tight-knit community where everyone knew each other by name. Yet within this serene setting, our subject thrived on isolation. He spent countless hours locked away in his room, poring over books on quantum mechanics, cryptography, and psychology. Neighbors rarely saw him, except for brief moments when he ventured out to buy groceries or take evening walks along the nearby coastline. Even then, his demeanor remained distant, almost robotic, as though he existed in two worlds simultaneously. But everything changed on January 2nd, 2010. That morning, police arrived at his door after receiving a call from concerned neighbors who hadn't heard from him in days. What they discovered inside sent shockwaves through both the local community and international intelligence circles. There, sprawled awkwardly on the floor, was the body of a genius whose work had once been critical to national security. At first glance, the scene appeared chaotic: papers scattered everywhere, furniture overturned, and strange symbols drawn in chalk on the walls. But upon closer inspection, investigators realized this chaos was deliberate, part of some larger puzzle left behind by the victim himself. As days passed, details emerged that only deepened the mystery. Surveillance footage showed him entering his building late at night, carrying a bag filled with unknown items. No one else entered or exited the premises during the hours leading up to his death. Autopsy results indicated signs of struggle, yet no defensive wounds were found on his hands. His computer was encrypted beyond recognition, containing files labeled with enigmatic titles such as Project Omega and Dimensional Shift. Despite efforts by top cybersecurity experts, much of its contents remain inaccessible even today. Let's rewind to understand the man behind the mystery. Born into a middle-class family, he excelled academically from an early age, earning scholarships to prestigious universities and eventually landing a job with MI5 due to his unparalleled skills in mathematics and problem-solving. Colleagues described him as eccentric but brilliant, capable of solving problems others deemed impossible. However, outside work, his personal life grew increasingly erratic. Friends reported hearing stories about strange dreams and visions he claimed to experience while working on classified projects. Some suggested these episodes might have stemmed from stress or exhaustion. Others whispered darker possibilities involving espionage or covert operations gone wrong. In the months before his death, he became obsessed with ideas about parallel universes and wormholes. During one particularly heated discussion with a colleague, he reportedly said, "I've seen things no one should ever see." places no one should ever go. These words haunted many afterward, especially since they mirrored discoveries made years later regarding anomalies in his research data. Could his fascination with theoretical physics have led him down dangerous paths? Or was there more to his disappearance than met the eye? Then came the twist. Forensic analysis revealed traces of cyanide in his system, raising suspicions of poisoning. Yet, further investigation uncovered no signs of forced entry or struggle, making suicide seem plausible at least initially. But why would someone so deeply involved in high-stakes intelligence work choose such a dramatic exit? Moreover, why leave behind such intricate clues pointing toward conspiracy rather than closure? Authorities dug deeper, uncovering disturbing evidence linking him to various unsolved cases across Europe. One file contained photographs of unidentified individuals believed to be foreign spies. Another detailed plans for a device capable of disrupting satellite communications. While none of this proved conclusive, it painted a picture of a man torn between loyalty and rebellion, perhaps caught in the crossfire of global espionage games. Public fascination with the case skyrocketed after details leaked online. True crime enthusiasts flocked to forums, debating whether his death represented murder, suicide, or something far stranger. Among them was Brian Carter, a self-taught programmer who applied advanced algorithms to decode patterns hidden within the cryptic messages left at the crime scene. His findings drew widespread attention, suggesting possible ties between our subject and broader criminal networks operating throughout the UK during the same period. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something larger? Brian asked during a live Q&A session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. Social media platforms buzzed with theories, ranging from credible analyses to wild speculation. Some argued he had uncovered secrets too dangerous for public knowledge, forcing powerful entities to silence him permanently. Others believed he staged his own demise, leaving behind carefully crafted illusions designed to confuse anyone searching for answers. Meanwhile, psychologists studying behavioral patterns noted recurring themes in his writings: fear, paranoia, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Was this merely the ramblings of a troubled mind, or hints of truths buried deep within shadows? Fast forward to 2023, and advancements in artificial intelligence offer unprecedented opportunities for analyzing large datasets related to his case. Using machine learning models, researchers sifted through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. Their findings suggest connections between his activities and similar disappearances worldwide, hinting at organized crime or rogue governmental factions. Could he have stumbled upon information threatening national security, triggering his elimination? Or was his fate tied to personal demons haunting him long before that fateful night? One discovery stood out above the rest: a notebook filled with hand-drawn diagrams depicting geometric shapes resembling crop circles. Inside, annotations reference concepts borrowed directly from quantum theory, including mentions of black holes and multiverse theory. Experts struggled to interpret their meaning, though many agreed they pointed toward experimentation with untested scientific principles. Did he truly believe he could unlock doors to alternate realities? Or was this simply the product of mental instability exacerbated by pressure from his demanding career? By now, you might think the story ends here, but it doesn't. In recent years, new developments reignited interest in the case. Forensic genealogy techniques identified relatives linked to DNA profiles discovered near the crime scene, prompting authorities to revisit old leads. Investigators traced these connections back to individuals known to associate with underground organizations specializing in illegal technology trade. Could these groups have played a role in his death? If so, why target someone seemingly disconnected from their operations? Amidst growing intrigue, amateur sleuths joined professional detectives in piecing together fragments of information. Podcasts dedicated to exploring his life and crimes reached millions, sparking debates among listeners eager to solve the riddle themselves. Episodes examining societal factors contributing to his descent into madness resonated strongly with audiences navigating uncertain times. Could such a mind exist today, armed with modern tools and access to classified systems? Host Paul Hayes posed this question rhetorically during the season finale of Time's Unraveling Genius Asterisk, leaving listeners pondering implications long after the episode aired. 2 years later, researchers announced they had decoded messages embedded in artwork created during his final days. Sophisticated image recognition software identified recurring themes tied to specific locations and dates, corresponding to known events in his life. This revelation suggested he may have left deliberate clues intended to taunt authorities even beyond the grave. Was he playing games right up until the end? Emily Carter, a forensic psychologist assigned to analyze his psychological profile, mused aloud during a private meeting with colleagues. Her voice cracked slightly, betraying exhaustion mixed with awe at the complexity of their subject. Atmosphere shifted dramatically as public interest surged once again. Forums buzzed with discussions piecing together timelines and debating theories. Conversations ranged from speculative musings to well-researched arguments supported by hard data. One member, Amanda Grant, gained prominence when she identified similarities between his disappearance and other unsolved cases involving individuals with exceptional intellectual abilities. Her findings prompted renewed scrutiny of potential links between genius minds and clandestine operations. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," says Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near North Wales. Her voice cracks with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. And so, the legend persists not merely as a relic of the past, but as a testament to human resilience in the face of incomprehensible evil. And that was another story lost in time. But stay with me, because there's still more waiting in the shadows. What do you think happened to him? Let me know in the comments below. Your thoughts matter, and they shape the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out, and hit send. I'll see you there. A young girl, just 2 years old, goes missing in the dead of night near her grandparents' house in rural New Hampshire. The family is gathered for a reunion, everyone within earshot, and yet no one notices when she vanishes into thin air. By morning, hundreds of volunteers are combing the woods, calling her name, searching desperately for any sign of her. Days pass, hope dwindles, and then just as suddenly as she disappeared, a miracle occurs. She's found alive on an island of mud in the middle of a swamp, miles away from where she was last seen. But here's the twist. There's no way she could have walked or even crawled that far without leaving a trace. And the water around her? It reaches up to her chest. Yet she's completely dry. Hi everyone! You're listening to Thousand Fragments. The moment no one saw, the memory no one kept. I'm bringing it back. Drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. And let's begin. It was October 9th, 2010, in Richmond, New Hampshire, a small town nestled deep within the forested hills of the northeastern United States. This wasn't just any day. It was a special occasion for Rowan's family. His grandparents had organized a grand reunion at their home, a cozy single-story house surrounded by dense woods. To get there, visitors drove down a long driveway that wound through towering trees before opening up to a cleared backyard perfect for barbecues and gatherings. The scene was idyllic. Laughter filled the air as adults caught up over drinks, teenagers played football, and children ran wild chasing each other under the golden autumn Sunday. Rowan, only 2 years old, sat happily in the backseat of the car with his siblings as they arrived. Excited to see cousins and relatives he hadn't seen in months, he wasted no time jumping out and joining the chaos. Somewhere along the way, though, something caught his attention, a cat darting through the yard. Rowan loved animals, especially this particular feline who lived at his grandparents' house. Without hesitation, he followed it, giggling as the little creature led him deeper into the woods. Several adults noticed him running after the cat but dismissed it, assuming someone else would keep an eye on him. After all, how much trouble could a toddler get into in such a short time? But Rowan didn't return. Hours passed, and panic set in. His father called out for him, scanning the yard, the house, even the cars parked nearby. Nothing. Then came the dreaded realization. Rowan had gone too far into the woods. With every passing minute, the stakes grew higher. Darkness fell quickly in those parts, and temperatures dropped sharply once the sun disappeared behind the trees. Volunteers armed with flashlights scoured the area, shouting his name into the silence. Local law enforcement arrived soon after, launching a massive search operation involving hundreds of people. ATVs roared through the underbrush, dogs sniffed the ground, and helicopters hovered overhead, their spotlights cutting through the darkness like surgical scalpels. Yet despite their best efforts, nothing turned up. No footprints, no cries for help, no sign of struggle. It was as if the earth itself had swallowed him whole. By morning, the search expanded further. Word spread quickly through the community, drawing in more volunteers eager to lend a hand. Among them were experienced hikers familiar with the terrain, hunters who knew the local wildlife, and parents haunted by the thought of losing their own child so inexplicably. One group decided to venture farther than anyone else, heading toward a swamp located several miles away from the initial search area. The decision seemed odd at first. Why would a toddler wander so far? But desperation breeds creativity. As they trudged through knee-deep mud and tangled vegetation, the reality of the situation began to weigh heavily on them. Every step felt like a betrayal of the innocent life they were failing to find. Then, deep within the swamp, they stumbled upon something extraordinary. Through the thick mist, they spotted what appeared to be children's shoes resting atop a log jutting out of the water. Heart racing, they waded closer, sinking ankle-deep with every cautious movement. When they finally reached the log, they couldn't believe their eyes. There, standing on a tiny patch of dry land, clutching a tree trunk, stood Rowan. He looked unharmed, almost serene, as though he'd been waiting there all along. How did he end up here? That became the million-dollar question. The swamp was nearly 3 miles away from the original location, its waters deep and treacherous. Even if Rowan had somehow managed to navigate the rugged terrain in the dark, how could he have avoided getting wet while standing in the middle of a bog? Investigators questioned him gently, hoping for answers, but Rowan offered only fragments of his experience. "Cows," he whispered repeatedly, his voice trembling. "The cows scared me." Of course, there were no cows anywhere near the swamp. Not even close. Some theorized Rowan might have hallucinated due to exhaustion or fear, while others speculated about supernatural forces guiding him through the wilderness. Regardless of the reason, one thing remained certain. Rowan's survival defied logic. As days turned into weeks, the case gained national attention. Psychologists studied Rowan's behavior, attempting to piece together his memories of that night. Detectives revisited the crime scene, analyzing every detail for clues. Was it possible someone had abducted him and left him in the swamp? If so, why? Why leave him alive, untouched, and miraculously dry? These questions lingered long after the media frenzy subsided, leaving behind a trail of unanswered mysteries. Fast forward to 2023, and technology offers tantalizing possibilities for unraveling secrets long buried. Forensic experts revisit evidence collected during the initial investigation, using advanced DNA analysis and environmental tracking tools. Meanwhile, social media platforms buzz with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about safety, accountability, and the unknown. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," says Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near Richmond. Her voice cracks with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. Now, let's rewind to another case, one eerily similar yet equally perplexing. Geraldine, also just 2 years old, disappeared under bizarre circumstances in the heart of Georgia. Her family was enjoying a quiet evening at their cabin when Geraldine wandered off unnoticed. A frantic search ensued involving neighbors, friends, and eventually law enforcement. They scoured the surrounding woods, checked abandoned buildings, and searched nearby lakes. Days passed, and still, no sign of Geraldine. Hope faded, replaced by despair. Then came the twist. Weeks later, a fisherman stumbled upon skeletal remains near a remote stretch of riverbank roughly 40 miles from the cabin. Initial reports suggested Geraldine had drowned, but inconsistencies in the evidence raised red flags. For instance, traces of sedatives were found in her system, suggesting foul play. Additionally, locals reported seeing strange lights hovering over the area the night she vanished. Could these phenomena hold the key to her disappearance? Or were they merely coincidental anomalies? Detective James Peterson took charge of the case, poring over witness statements and re-examining physical evidence. During interviews, he uncovered unsettling details. One neighbor claimed to have seen a man lurking near the property days before Geraldine went missing. Another described hearing loud noises coming from the woods late at night. Piecing together these accounts, Peterson developed a theory. Geraldine may have fallen victim to someone close to the family, perhaps motivated by jealousy or revenge. However, not everyone agreed with Peterson's conclusions. Emily Carter, a forensic psychologist specializing in childhood trauma, proposed an alternative explanation. What if Geraldine hadn't wandered off alone? What if she encountered something or someone that frightened her into hiding? Carter pointed to cases where young children exhibited heightened awareness of danger, often retreating to secluded areas until help arrived. Could Geraldine have done the same, albeit in a far more extreme manner? Advancements in artificial intelligence provided fresh insights, sifting through thousands of pages of archived material to identify patterns previously overlooked. Brian Carter, a programmer turned self-taught investigator, flagged several instances where missing toddlers were discovered in unexpected locations, often miles from where they were last seen. His findings suggested a possible link between Geraldine's case and others across the region. Were we looking at isolated incidents, or part of something larger? The atmosphere shifted dramatically as public interest in Geraldine's story grew once again. Social media groups dedicated to solving cold cases attracted thousands of members worldwide, sparking lively debates about potential motives and culprits. Conversations ranged from speculative musings to well-researched arguments supported by data. One member, Amanda Grant, gained prominence when she identified striking similarities between Geraldine's disappearance and other unsolved cases involving young children in Georgia during the same period. Her work prompted authorities to explore connections previously dismissed as coincidental. Yet, despite these advances, fundamental questions remain unanswered. Who or what drove Geraldine so far from home? Why was she found in such a remote location? And most hauntingly, why did she appear untouched, despite traveling such a great distance? These mysteries weigh heavily on those closest to the case. Detective Peterson finds himself haunted by dreams of shadowy figures whispering riddles he cannot solve. Emily Carter spends sleepless nights researching obscure archives, searching for patterns others might have missed. Even casual observers feel drawn into the vortex of uncertainty surrounding this infamous tragedy. As 2023 dawned, researchers announced they had decoded messages embedded in artwork created by key suspects during their incarceration. Using sophisticated image recognition software, analysts identified recurring themes tied to specific locations and dates corresponding to known crimes. This revelation suggested the suspect may have left deliberate clues intended to taunt authorities even beyond the grave. Was he playing games right up until the end? Emily Carter asks during a private meeting with colleagues. Her voice cracks slightly, betraying exhaustion mixed with awe at the complexity of their subject. At the same time, advancements in AI offer unprecedented opportunities for analyzing large datasets related to Geraldine's case. Programs developed by Brian Carter sift through countless pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings suggest possible ties between Geraldine's disappearance and broader criminal networks operating throughout Georgia during the early 2000s. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something larger? Brian asks during a live Q&A session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. And so, the legend of Geraldine persists not merely as a relic of the past, but as a testament to human resilience in the face of incomprehensible evil. For every answer uncovered, new questions arise. For every step forward, obstacles loom large. Yet through it all, one truth remains clear. The quest for understanding transcends generations, binding us together in our shared desire for peace and resolution. So, next time you walk through your neighborhood, take a moment to observe the faces around you. Who knows what secrets lie beneath the surface? Remember, while stories like Geraldine's may terrify us, they also remind us of our capacity to overcome adversity. Because in the end, it isn't the darkness that defines us, it's how we choose to respond to it. Do you think Geraldine's case will ever be fully solved? Or does its identity remain forever shrouded in darkness? Let me know in the comments below. Your thoughts matter, and they shape the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out, and hit send. I'll see you there. And that was another story lost in time. But stay with me, because there's still more waiting in the shadows.